Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are going to be reviewing a 6-stack. They range from silver to plat, so we'll call them gold, and from what I've heard they struggled quite a bit against the opposing Widowmaker, so we'll be reviewing red team here. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, specials we have going on, all that good stuff. Hey, Semitic! Okay, so red is rolling out with an interesting comp. There's not really rhyme or reason to that yet. We have a Reinhardt with a Mercy Nana, and we have Genji and Soldier. So first, I don't like it. Like, it's not a good specialized comp, and it's not hybridized particularly well. So ultimately, you're going to play with the hero pools that make sense for your team, but I would like your team to train towards something a little more specific. Yeah, this is...
Stop the payload.
I don't particularly like this. So you're looking at this, and obviously you can do this. It's not like playing Ryan Winston is impossible. You can get some value out of the Winston, especially if you're playing the Ryan Winston in a brawl style. But then you've also got the Genji, which just tells me you guys are undecided on what you want to do at this point. So I would not recommend you go this way for this one. I would recommend you get something more specialized, something more brawl heavy. Like you go, okay, we're going to run our Ryan with our Diva, or we're going to run our Ryan with our Zarya. Or if we want to go the other route, that's totally fine. That might actually be easier, where we're going to run our Winston with a Diva. And if you run this and you just swap the Ryan for a Diva, this comp looks pretty solid. You've got your Nano Blades, you have your boost for this. This is a pretty solid poke dive comp with just one swap here. Yeah. Pretty sure this is a 6-stack ladder. This is almost certainly a 6-stack ladder. We don't have any. When people are doing scrims, you'll usually see the stuff up here showing cooldowns, deaths, eliminations, ults, those things, because most people will be using that same code. This sounds like one of those games I'd yell at my team to commit to full dive. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do. Okay, so that's my first thing. You walk out here. You see the Widow. You see you use the deflect. You get caught by stickies during a fire strike, and you take way more damage in return. That's why we don't really like to fire strike in the open. And you've already lost your Ana. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I'm not really sure why our Ana was out in the open there. And you might be thinking, no, she wasn't in the open. She was behind Ryan Shield. She was trying to be behind Cart. But I consider her to be in the open. Over here, I consider Soldier to be in the open. Genji isn't really in the open. Mercy's almost in the open, but not quite. I don't really like this at all. We know there's a Widow on the other team. This is no great mystery to us. We know there's a Widow and an Echo on the other team that are going to make getting from here, whatever, to here a pain. They're just going to make that difficult. So how are we going to break it? Well, we can send just our Reinhardt to cart while Ana heals from here if we want. That could be a thing. Ana could break line of sight on them while Reinhardt pushes cart by herself. That could totally be a thing. And what's that going to force response-wise out of these guys? Well, they don't have any good people that can go touch cart if our Reinhardt just chooses to push it from behind while Ana supports him from a place that she can't be seen from the other team. That looks pretty good. If you go like, hey, my Ana's here, and my soldiers may be tucked on the opposite corner, and if the Echo comes out to pressure my Ana, the soldier can pressure him. Like, yeah, or can pressure her. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And neither of them are ever vulnerable. The only thing vulnerable to the other team is our Reinhardt, who, again, our Ana has line of sight on until he gets to at least like here-ish. And this is going to force these guys to go, oh, well, we don't like it. And you either get this cart distance for free, or these guys go, okay, we're going to drop so that we can come contest you early. And if they drop so that they can contest you early, then your Winston and Genji get to take the wings. And when they take the wings, they can then get on top of the Widow and clear her. So it's the, hey, how we want to do this if we're a team is we're going to put our Rhino behind cart. We're going to put our Anna here. We're going to put our soldier maybe with our Anna, but we can just as easily put him over here. And then we're going to send, say, our Winston up this direction while we send our Genji up the other direction. See how that works? See how that works? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then this whole thing will play out differently. Blue team is almost all on high ground. They must be temporal viewers. Maybe. Okay, so your Winston is back here, your Genji is here, and your Genji went from here, which is like meh. Shove the Dime Start from here is kind of meh, and it's alone. And it doesn't make sense for this to be alone when there's a Winston on your team. It simply doesn't. And at least you get props for Mercy decides, well, my Genji went in, so this is the best cover I'm going to get for rezzing. So yeah, you do get props for that. But I wouldn't have gone in to force res cover. I would have wanted to go in with the Winston. And honestly, there just wasn't a need to go in yet. These guys aren't stopping the cart. Genji doesn't need to force a fight at all. Rein can push the cart all day long until these guys want to stop it. So this is just a bad dive. And you're not going to get a Widow elimination here. This is only a distraction. You're not going to get a Widow elimination here. Without your Winston, without the rest of your team doing something, it's not happening. So you need to drop immediately. No, you need to drop under them immediately. Drop under. There. You need to go there. This was only ever a distraction. Okay. Genji's going to go up around. Winston has now decided he wants cart. What? Why are we taking turns sending our divers in? Dive, actually getting eliminations out of your dive is about synergized pressure. So your Genji and your Winston get there, arrive, do whatever at the same time. Preferably they do it at the same time that your soldier opens the angle and peaks, that your Mercy is boosting your soldier, that your Rein has found someone to swing at, that at least your Rein is pressuring the cart through a place that they don't want it to go through. You find some way to let everyone contribute. Synergy. You're not going, oh, 1 plus, you're not going, hey, my Genji will dash, and then a few seconds later my Winston will jump, and a few seconds later my soldier will helix, and a few seconds later my Anna will nade. We're looking to abuse the fact that all of these can happen at roughly the same time to go, oh, we can burst someone from 200 to 0, because there's no re-healing them if they get to 0. It's not about doing 400 damage. It's about doing 200 damage before it gets healed back up, and that's the value of synergy, the value of everything when doing everything at once. It's not about, oh, Winston goes in and can get deal with, then Genji goes in and can deal with. If they get 6 people that are allowed to deal with it, it's not going to work. So, on defense, maybe this could work. Where we'd go, hey, our Winston touches, then leaves. Maybe our Genji touches, then leaves. That could work. But we're on offense, and we're trying to get elimination dives. We're not trying to just distractedly contest them. I mean, maybe we are trying to distractingly contest them. That is a thing, but it hasn't been appropriate to do that here. Let's attack the enemy one at a time, guys. Yeah, right. Okay. Fire Strike. Oh, now we have a Doomfist. Instead of the soldier. So, again, odd man out here seems like Reinhardt. Genji's got a nice angle. Is Doomfist staged properly? Do you have a good rollout from there? I don't remember my Doomfist rollouts well enough. You can probably uppercut onto this, but then you can't get here to slide and to hit a slam, so I doubt you have a good rollout from there. Okay. Why are you dashing in, Genji? Your Doomfist is back here. Your Reinhardt is here. And your Winston is going to take at least 2 seconds to join you. You're early. You're early. Don't do it. You could play from here and throw shurikens at people. That would be annoying. Alright, our Winston's fighting in the front line. At least he's on squishies. Okay, this could work. There are the bubbles, yep. Why are you leaving, Winston? Because you lost your Doomfist? Okay. That was almost kind of a coordinated diving because you want the Widow, sure. Okay. I'm pretty happy for you guys to reset. Red team, reset. Genji, why are you back? Your team isn't winning this fight. You're just giving more ult charge.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
They have Widow Eyes going. Please don't feed. Please don't feed. Okay, infocytes are over. Doesn't matter. I know it's frustrating to get shattered there. It does not matter.
Pathetic.
Why are you giving them shield? Why are we just gifting them shield? And we swapped into a heavier brawl comp. We went with Rein Diva. I don't really like this. I wouldn't have swapped into a heavier brawl comp for the Widowmaker, but we're closer to a real comp in some ways here. I'd still like us to get rid of the Mercy, but let's use our Valk first. Like I can live with this without the Mercy for a brawl, but please use the Valk and then move on. Get yourself a Lucio. Diva's got some space, fine. We're just donating so much shield, we're unsure where we want to go. Ryan, push up from cover to cover. You can literally just be like, oh, if the Widow's up there, hold your shield, advance, and yell at your team to shoot the Widow through your shield just to clear her because she doesn't have the shield. And then you get to advance to up to here. You get to advance up to here. You're going from cover to cover. You're not just standing here waiting for your team to regroup. You cannot afford to be giving them a shield to shoot at while your team is waiting in spawn to appear to come up and join you. Your shield does not last that long. The Rhino is a little painful to watch. I feel like he's just kind of sitting there while Davos try to make something happen. I feel the sitting there was even worse right here a good few seconds ago. Okay, so now we're Valking to rotate. Do we at least have the blade? Oh, we're using blade during our Valk, which puts us in that tough decision of do we just damage boost the blade or do we nano blade plus Valk? I do not want to have to nano blade plus Valk, but we're gonna have to. I just didn't really want to use both of these at the same time because it is going to leave us with the terrible decision of do we put a third ult in or do we not? Like I'd have preferred to just nano blade here or Valk here or Valk and Shatter here or something. Okay.
Circuits engaged. Reinhardt.
Why are we rezzing? Do we think we're in this? I can see why you thought you were in that, sure.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Okay. So, you're here. Are you going to try and hold space to not let them set up again with their Widow? Or are you going to retreat back to spawn so that your team has a bus to ride to the corner, Reinhardt? Which is it going to be? Why? Why are you Ryan, please stop. Please stop. No. No. You can't be here. So Reinhardt, you don't just sit in the middle of the lane, and you don't just put your shield up in the lane either for opponents to shoot at you. This is just donating shield health to the opponents so that your shield is missing health, 15, 30, 10 seconds from now, 5 seconds from now when you'd like to push. You won't have a full shield, and then your shield will break part way up. Or maybe you'll still get to them and have shield left, but you won't have shield left to stabilize with in the middle of the fight when you go down to 200 health and you would like to shield for 2 seconds while you get healed. So, like, this is bad. This isn't doing anything for your team. And honestly, even if you had, like, a McCree standing behind your shield and shooting, this would be bad. What you do as Reinhardt is you wait behind cover until your team is ready, and then you go pushing in 3, 2, 1, and then you put your shield up and you push to the enemies that you want to swing at or to the next set of cover. That's what you do. But you should have basically full shield to do that, because you standing here and putting your shield up doesn't do anything. And even if you had a McCree, a soldier, whatever, standing here and using your shield, you wouldn't want to do this. This isn't really how you work. Your shield is your own personal tool to get from cover to cover, or to get from cover to range of swinging at the opponents. That's what you do with your shield. Your shield is for you to get into your effective range. If you use it here, it won't be able to help you get into your effective range. You can't just do this. You can't. Okay, so now our Genji has swapped to Widow. Reinhardt is advancing alone and fire striking during his advance, which leaves him totally open to, say, I don't know, throwing out a fire strike that might do 100 damage to someone and getting counter Widow headshot for 295 damage. Yeah, that could be a thing that happens. Probably not worth fire striking. Swings are better. Swings you have the option to cancel. We're still trying to heal our Reinhardt with a Mercy. I'm really not sure why we have our Mercy at this point. This is not a good comp for her to be in. Like, as Mercy, you're a support that really thrives on supporting certain heroes over other heroes. Oh, now we have the Widow. Now the Mercy at least has something that's a little more interesting for her. Still not great. Mercy, if you're running Mercy with Brawl tanks, you're generally not going to have a good time.
Meteor strike.
60 seconds remain.
Let's go back. Widow vs. Widow, the gauntlet has been thrown. Yeah, it has. So here we are. Doomfist is at least taking an angle. That's good. They had full vision of the Doomfist taking an angle, but so be it. Oh, did I have 20-second rewinds? I probably did. Can I have my mouse, please?
Executing flight
So that was a 40-second rewind that we didn't need. Oh well. So you go for that, and your Doomfist comes in. And that's actually good, that your Doomfist comes in as the engage starts, and that your Widow is looking for a shot from over here. This was reasonable as an engage, except for the Reinhardt initially giving away so much on the way in, and the Doomfist clearly staging himself, obviously, when the Widow had sights up. But still, you came in from 3 different angles. This was okay. It gave up way too many resources on the Rein on the way in, but it was okay. Would have also liked our D.Va to come in more from like an up here direction. But again, I'll deal. And honestly, given what you have here, you probably need to have your D.Va go take a longer flank and go be ready to contest the Widow type thing when you guys pull your go trigger, just based on the comp that you're running. There's other cute things you can do where your D.Va like sits with your Widow and enables her, or you can do the, hey, my D.Va's going to enable my Rein, we're going to do a standard brawl, and we're just going to trust in our standard brawl that our Widow's going to find their Widow out of the greater pressure. But if that's the case, your Widow's going to have to go on some adventures to do it.
Meteor strike.
Огонь по готовности. 60 seconds remaining.
Okay.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
I get the feeling our Widow is about to be destroyed. Would you rather be a Mercy or a Lucio? in this comp, on Red's team here, a Lucio would be way better than a Mercy. The Lucio is going to help the Rein. The Lucio is going to help the Ana more than the Mercy does. And the Lucio can do some dives with the D.Va. It's not amazing, but can do some dive stuff with the D.Va. Yeah, that's an easy pick for me. On this comp, it's a little harder. On this comp, I'd probably stick with the Mercy because I see there's an Echo and there's a Widow, and that's just interesting enough that I'm going to go, our comp is bonkers, but I'm going to play the Mercy. Mercy Widow has always felt kind of blah. Well, as long as it doesn't feel blah. No, it might feel blah, but the thing is, there's no denying that giving your Widow a second chance, because your Widow is almost certainly firing from a place. Not almost certainly, but your Widow is generally going to be firing from a place that rezzing her is relatively easy to do if she gets eliminated by the other Widow. So having a second chance for her is just kind of that impactful. And once they get good enough, they will hit the timings based on the damage boost instead of always fully charging or always charging their shots to the thresholds that they would need without the Mercy boost. But even if they're not doing that, just having the res, just having the heals on them for when they get hit by body shots, it's pretty important because Widow and a lot of Widow versus Widow stuff is the queen piece. It might feel a little boring, but it's hard to deny the impact of my Widow is here, their Widow is here, and our Mercies can tuck fully behind cover and res them. Like, it's hard to deny the value of that.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard. 30 seconds remaining.
Sure you want to be out here, Doomfist? Okay. It's fine. We shouldn't be struggling over here. This should be pretty clean for Red, honestly. Doomfist, don't get caught.
Helden! Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
وريهم قوتك.
Okay.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Reinhardt.
Do you have abilities left, Doomfist? That's what I thought. What's your plan for getting out? Are you going to uppercut slam out? Okay, you're going to have to just kind of exist for about a half a second here for that pattern to work. Okay, now you can do it. That was an uncomfortable amount of time that you just had to exist while in on Doomfist, but hey. Your uppercut better take you... you got back. Yeah, fine. I would have really preferred that you'd ended up here on your high ground, that you could have then just dropped in with slams on your next rotation, but so be it.
Thank you.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard. Salut.
What should a Mercy player do differently in a Rein plus Zarya comp other than switch? Enable the DPS heavily, which, you know, Mercy should always be doing, sure, but enable the DPS even more heavily. Like, we're seeing a lot of this Mercy sticking to the Rein, and there's an Ana in this comp. So it's going to be much more about, hey, I'm looking to boost the Widow, I'm looking to boost the Doomfist during his slams. Like, part of the issue that the Mercy runs into is there aren't great outs for her in most brawls. This is better now that there's a Widow for her, but before, when they had the Genji, it was just sort of like, where do I go? The Genji is not consistently enough giving you an out. The Doomfist isn't consistently enough giving you an out. You're sort of losing on her ability, which is her ability to transition between locations. Her Guardian Angel being on basically no cooldown is such a big thing, and with brawl comps, especially when things are relatively stacked, she doesn't have the easiest time doing that. Fortunately, no one on the other team was particularly good at punishing her lack of ability to transition between locations. Rein with this Heller Celebratory swan dive.
Time to raise my APM.
Can we get high ground control, please? Please? Like, Doomfist, you keep going in, and I want you to finish on high ground. On high ground. I'd actually like the team to do a lot more with high ground. We've got this cart plenty far enough. You will crush this team if you go, we're done. We got the cart far enough. We're now going to go back up over here and push this way. You will crush them. And you can leave your diva behind the cart, and she can push the cart until you're ready for the fight, and then she can join from the direction of the cart, and it'll be lovely.
Nerf this. Systems checked out.
You tried. You tried. They had a Zarya bubble along with some other things. Okay. So, like, you're aggressing here and here, which I like. I don't necessarily like that we're being a little passive back here. And why is our Widow here? This is going to be better, yes, but why was our Widow ever stacked with our team? Why? And I'm just going to guess that you don't have a Venom Mine out. Oh, look, you don't have a Venom Mine out. You didn't, as you were walking by, throw a Venom Mine up here. You didn't throw a Venom Mine at this door as you walked past this one. Now we're pushing. This is gonna suck. Valk plus Doomfist Slam enough? Yeah, it is. Good. Do you have boosters? Yeah. I don't know why you thought you could do that, Blue Mercy. This diva did so much to save this with finally going through and taking this. Like, this helps so much. And obviously the Doomfist Slam ended up happening here and the Widow hooked up to here. But, like, the high ground control could have been so much better so much earlier. You guys are just taking a Widow duel? Okay. Casually take a Widow duel. She closes the angle. She reopens the angle and gets you. Sure.
Огонь по готовности.
Oh, is that actually going to be the difference maker? The Widow going down? We can talk it through more if that's going to be the case. So when it comes to the Widow duel like this, you want to make sure that you're fighting her when your team is aggressing. And your team is kind of aggressing here, so I don't particularly mind this. I do mind probably that you've been here the whole time. Like if we look through, not the whole time, but like you, when I say the whole time, I mean you transitioned here. You go like this, you take your shot. Yeah, this just can't happen. She just brute forced it and beat you. Your Ryan's here. That's annoying. Ideally, you'd have sent your diva up over here, and your diva would actually be better from here. It's a bit of a problem because it allows them with their response to shoot her in the butt, which she doesn't like. But from up here, she casts her DM down. She can eliminate the Mercy. She can cast her DM down, which makes the Widow worthless. She can shoot their Ryan in the back here. That's pretty good. Like this would be something that you transition your diva forward to, or at the very least you transition your diva forward to here, where she can put, hey, I can shoot at that, I can shoot at that, I can shoot at that. Like the way to do this isn't to go, our Widow needs to be better, though that doesn't hurt. It's to go, how can we use our other pieces to make this Widow duel more one-sided? Because once our Widow's alive and theirs isn't, that's going to generally determine the flow of the battle if it's not already massively one direction. So, do we have our boosters? Effectively. And we'd like to get ourselves up to here or up to here to do this. And we need to take this fight. We do need to recognize that we still have, like, this is as good as this fight is going to get for red. They need to brute force this. They need to be continuing the brawl right now. They need to not be giving blue time to catch up on health. If you notice the status of the fight, even though red is missing people, Reinhardt is super low, Mercy is super low. And Reinhardt's the only one forcing the fight. We've got to get up there. And this can't be long-range micro missiles. This needs to be we need to brawl. Again, D.Va, go take this more aggressive positioning. Go take this more aggressive positioning. Make this fight happen. You guys had a massive health lead.
Огонь по готовности.
Had a massive health lead. Now some healing has happened. The respawns have showed up. It's over. Red Widow surrendered. Never mind, I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't think Red Widow surrendered. All good. Okay. Oh, and blue is going to hold high ground. This is going to suck. Don't challenge, Red. Don't challenge. Don't. What are you doing? I'm perfectly happy, Red Widow, for you to have just waited in here. Literally just wait for your team to get here.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
High ground? High ground? Oh no. Oh no. Bye, Ryan. Goodbye.
وريهم قوتك.
Oh, forced nano over. Oh, that was bad.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
Now we just have a messy fight,
Payload has reached.
and it gets ninja'd in the messy fight. I assume our Widow went over the top.
It's high.
Yeah.
وريهم قوتك.
Okay, win's a win. Doesn't matter how you get it.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
It's kind of weird how you would think when you're down you should be more passive, but in general you want to look for more aggressive plays to potentially turn it around. Sort of Semitic, like that's true in some situations, but it depends how you're defining down. Like if I'm the defending team in a 6v5, or if I'm the team with less ults, and I'm defending, say, in a 6v6, I might want to play it more passive. But I'm playing it passive because I don't really consider myself down. I consider the strong high ground advantage I have as the defending team, the strong positional corner advantage I have as the defending team to make up for it. And I might continue to play perfectly passive, continue to make this a slow fight, even if I'm the 5 or I'm the team with less ults. If I have that good positional thing. But in those situations, you're not really down, is sort of how you think about that. But yes, when in like neutral fights or when in sort of even fights, you go down a player or you go behind on health, yes, that's when you have to take greater risks to make something happen. It's more interesting for the McCree to take a risk to make the flank. It's more interesting for the Reinhardt to go for a pin, or in even fights, when you're still trying to get ahead. And then Steffi Hutao says, "Hi Temporal, I'm a big fan of your VOD reviews and watched a lot of the Mercy guides you did. I have 2 questions regarding Mercy." Shoot! Meanwhile, I'm going to continue.
The payload has reached.
Shoot isn't shoot your questions. Okay, so they got the cart ninja. That's good. How did she forget she was there? Okay. Good on you, Widow. Good on you.
Dein Schutzengel ist
So,
da.
D.Va, that was reasonable to cover it with the DM, but you did then generally walk in front of her as your DM is ending and flip around so that your crit box isn't presented, and your armored mech back is protecting her, because you didn't have DM for the full coverage there.
Nerf this.
I don't really want to use self-destruct here. Like, they're on top of our spawn, and they didn't keep us in our spawn. Sometimes you have to use, when you're getting spawn camped, you have to use ults to get out of spawn, because there's not any great cover as you're coming out of spawn on some of these maps. But once you've gotten to here, they're not really spawn camping you anymore, but you're close to your spawn. So if you guys are trading even remotely evenly, you're just going to win. So you wouldn't really want to use ults here. You'd be more interested in using ults around here or around here. First question. If my duo healer isn't healing enough, should I blue beam less with Mercy and focus on my tanks more? Whenever I usually go pocket DPS to blue beam in aggressive positions, my tanks are eliminated. You have to maximize value. So what happens there is, let's pretend that you're running oh, that's too small. Let's pretend that you are running Zen Mercy, or isn't healing enough. Isn't healing enough as in they can't heal enough, or isn't healing enough as in they, are a Moira that's going on a DPS spree? Because those might have different answers. Let me think for a second. But let's start with, let's say you're running Zen Mercy and you have a Reinhardt Diva, because that's something that we see here. There's a Reinhardt Diva. Okay, so what you're looking at in this and going, hey, my Zen can't keep my Reinhardt alive, this is struggling, etc. Well, guess what? Your Mercy Beam can't keep your Reinhardt alive either. If you actually understand how like Reinhardt versus Reinhardt works, Zen is great. There's a reason that Goats was run with Zen, Lucio, Brig, and not Moira or Ana. It ran with some of these earlier in it, but in its days it got past it. And that's because the Discord is worth so much that, hey, the 30% at the time, now 25% damage boost is worth so much. It's worth more than the healing difference between a Harmony Orb and Moira healing, even when that was a 50 health per second difference. But when we get into this in terms of should you blue beam less? No, you need to win fights more explosively. You're playing for faster win conditions. So like if you go, hey, think of it like this. Like let's say we have a Reinhardt, a Diva, a Mercy, a Zen, and then I'll give you average stuff. So I'll give you an Ashe, which is strong, and I'll also give you, I don't know, a Reaper, which is kind of meh for you. So you could just go, hey, I'm going to swap because these guys would mean I'm probably better on Lucio, but let's pretend you're on Mercy. What you're looking to do is you're looking to go, I have to win this fight faster than the opposing team that has, say, a Moira and a Lucio over there. I have to win this fight faster than them. So that means I need to make sure that we make it a faster fight. I need to make sure that we get our TNT damage boost, that we get some damage boost shots on the Ashe. Maybe if I see my Reaper has a moment to chunk. My Reaper has Wraith available. He's in the front line. He has a moment to chunk their Reinhardt. Maybe I Guardian Angel in and stop short and let him really do that work. Oh, my Diva's micro-missiling? Maybe that's worth doing. Probably not if I've got an Ashe somewhere that can be used, but maybe if that's the case. So you're looking for, instead of the fight taking 20 seconds to resolve, you're looking to make the fight take 12 seconds to resolve. Well, the Moira is perfectly happy for the fight to take 20, 25, whatever seconds to resolve. Even though her resource has a bit of a timer on it, this team is like, hey, we want this to go longer until we get Coalescence. We want this to go longer to take advantage of the fact that we can sustain our team better, because when your Reinhardt starts losing health, he's effectively losing that health permanently. Yes, you can get some healing on him. Your Zen can get some healing on him. Like, you can slow it down a little bit, but you're never going to, on him, keep up with the incoming damage on him. And you need to make it so that the opposing Rein can't keep up with the incoming damage either. And you do that by going, no, you're just not going to get a chance to heal him back up because the incoming damage is going to be too high. If this becomes an actual heal fest where you're trying to like straight heal battle, so this becomes closer to the 25 to 25 or 20 to 25 thing, you are going to be in a situation where you can't win this. We know you can't win this. You simply don't have enough healing as Mercy to battle the Moira, the BAP, whatever the case is, in a true healing war. So what you do is you let them push ahead early with good damage boost stuff, and then as the battle goes on, as your Rein gets lower, as your Rein gets more like 40%, 30%, then yes, you're going to convert to healing just to extend the fight a little bit longer, just to try to help some of this stuff, some of this lead that you created actually convert into eliminations, to drag the fight length out so that you don't just lose here, sure, that you were really in the beginning trying to burst ahead, trying to get there. And if you're going, hey, my tanks are always low, yeah, that's how you expect it to go. You sort of expect the fight to go in such a way where you go off and you boost your Ashe, and their Reinhardt might be at 80%, while your Reinhardt is at 55%, and that that might be normal. It shouldn't really be happening because you should be getting enough damage boost value, but it doesn't have to be the Rein that goes down first. So this could happen, and that's perfectly fine because your Ashe is trying to get the elimination over here, or your Reaper is chunking their Zarya, and you're boosting that, etc. And then once you've got to that, hopefully you've boosted this in such a way that you've been able to get an elimination somewhere, and then you swap to stabilize because now you're in a 6v5 and you're stabilizing, you're extending this, and you've actually decreased the incoming damage, so now you actually have a chance to keep up, to heal, to do this, to let your healing actually work in this game. So no, the answer isn't really to heal more when your teammate isn't healing enough. You'll end up healing more if your teammate isn't healing enough because you'll end up at 35% health on, say, your Reinhardt more often, and so you'll end up healing more just because you'll be trying to triage him back up at health for a longer amount of time, sure, but it doesn't really change. It doesn't really give you a thought of I'm trying to heal more, or I'm trying to heal earlier, or you're not really trying to heal more, you just end up in situations that cause you to heal more, but it's still really important that at the beginning you get your damage boost right, you get as much value in the fight as you can, and you'll even still break off for things like fresh TNTs. 2, when should I not play Mercy, on which map, and against what team comp? I took your advice about blue beaming a lot, but what should I do if my tanks aren't getting healed a lot by my duo healer? I feel like that's the same question. Let me reread the first question. If my duo healer isn't healing enough, should I blue beam less with Mercy and focus on my tanks more? No, you're not a great tank healer as Mercy, and most of the tanks don't have great things for you to enable. Roadhog does, Zarya can be okay, ults can be good, but most of the tanks don't have great things for you to blue beam enable. And again, your yellow beam, gold beam simply isn't as good as a Moira, a BAP, an Ana in terms of how the kits work. If my duo healer isn't healing enough, should I blue beam less with Mercy and focus on my tanks more? You might end up where for longer periods of time you're triaging them, like I said, but no, that is not the intent. When should I not play Mercy, on which maps and against which team comp? Okay, that's actually a different question. So Mercy cares less about what the enemy team comp is and more about what her team comp is. In fact, I'd argue that's true of basically every main support. Brig bucks that a little bit. Mercy cares more about what her team composition is than she does about the opposing team composition. Mercy is great playing in poke compositions, and she's happy playing in poke dive compositions. She's very unhappy playing in brawl compositions. She can make dive work, but dive really is almost never full dive. It's usually poke dive, just because Echo is one of the stronger dive heroes and she's a poke dive hero, just because Zen is one of the stronger dive heroes and Zen will get a lot of value from a Mercy, just because, oh hey, we want to mix a Widow or an Ashe into this, etc. So like, she's really looking to just avoid full brawl comp. So if she says, hey, if I have a Reinhardt and maybe a Reaper on my team, maybe I don't want to be playing this. Maybe I have a Reinhardt and a McCree and a Mei on my team. Maybe I don't want to be playing this. That sort of thing. That's really how she does it. She cares much less about the enemy team. The enemy team, in terms of things that bug her, yeah, divers can chase her down. Divers like Tracer can make her job annoying, but that's way harder if she can use her Guardian Angel effectively to get around, which she can't do when she's in a brawl comp, because the brawl comp simply is unlikely to take far enough angles from each other. But what should I do if my tanks aren't getting healed a lot by your duo healer? Get more value out of your blue beam in the early part of the fight, because everyone should be entering the fight with roughly full health, and you have the early part of their health bars to play with to be getting high damage, high value blue beam out of before you're in triage situations. As the fight goes on, though, yes, you're going to end up more and more on gold beam, even if you're trying for blue beam, if you have low heals in the fight. Okay. Tell your tanks to take less damage. And that's sort of the thing. If you just try to heal your Reinhardt more, your Reinhardt is just going to swing more. And if your Reinhardt just swings more, that's good. Your Reinhardt is correct to go, I have health, I'm going to swing. But if you just heal more, that causes your Reinhardt to swing more, which isn't as good as damage boosting that Ashe, as damage boosting those Echo stickies. Like, your Reinhardt is correctly going, oh, I judge I have this much health, I better go swing it. My Mercy is paying this much attention to me, I better make use of it. And he's correct to do so, but you instead heal him up past triage thresholds, and then he goes, okay, I'm only going to get this much health to work with, and he's going to play more passively, and you're going to enable the DPS to play more aggressively. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Mercy Zen, you are playing to win in the poke phase. You are playing for one of your teammates to get a pick, and you better help them do that. But between Bluebeam and Discord Orb, and even Harmony Orb and Res, that's exactly what you're doing. You're playing a pick-off comp. Like, we have a 30% damage boost for one person that we can put where we want. We have a 25% damage taken debuff we can put on whatever enemy we want. We have a Harmony Orb to enable one of our flankers to hold and take space and win duels, and we have a Res in case one of our pokers, in case someone messes up in the poke thing. Like, this is, make no mistake, a hard poke, hard pick off composition right here. But don't feel like, oh, my teammates are bad, my DPS never get picks, they're bad, damage boosting them just isn't going to work. Like, there might be some truth to that, but the reality is most Mercy players who think their DPS are bad all the time are just not terribly good at judging when their DPS are positioned correctly, are timed correctly to get eliminations. If you understand DPS positioning and timing at, say, a gold level and you're playing in bronze, or at maybe a diamond level and you're playing in gold, or whatever the case may be, it'll be incredibly obvious to you when the DPS are actually likely to do work, when their positioning actually allows for it, when the timing of the main fight actually allows for it, and when to actually give them the damage boost or when to be on who with the damage boost will be obvious to you. Even if their mechanics aren't very good. Even if they don't take the right timing and positioning very often, you'll recognize when they do and you'll have that blue beam for them. And I know that's controversial because when I tell supports how to play, I tell supports how to play, and I do the same thing with Lucios when it comes to speed, and I had someone get in a fight with me over this, and that's fine. I am telling you to learn the game in such a way that, yes, you do have to understand what they're doing better than they do. You do have to understand you have the game sense for it a couple ranks up, but the benefit of doing it this way is while you're a little slow on your way through, perhaps, to get through bronze, silver, whatever it may be, you get to practice the right skill the whole way up, and we're removing future obstacles from your climb, so you won't even realize that those obstacles were there, that other people ran into those obstacles. Okay. I feel like I struggle with the timing of my DPS to do work. I don't know how to tell. Yeah, VOD review might help. Well, that's probably right. Okay. But, other than that, it's recognizing timing, angles, team fight status. It's all those things. I can point it out, but I probably need a VOD at this point. Okay. No problem. No problem, Steffi. Okay. Doomfist is in. Doomfist is in pretty hard. Reinhardt's turned around here. Why is Reinhardt turned around? Because their Reinhardt's up there. You guys just took a mess of a fight here. Mess of a fight. Shattering with the Rein behind you. Little questionable. Okay. But it's going to work. You effectively got this team fight. You won your team fight back there, but you're getting this space, which is critical, so you're only going to need one more team fight. Good stuff.
Suiting up.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay. Effectively blocked. Your Divas and Doomfist are getting lane control. Okay. Stabilize. Stabilize. You're Valking, which is fine with me, but stabilize to get your Doomfist back into this, and then you win. Why did you use boosters? D.Va. D.Va. Okay. McCree went down here. This is potentially resible for their Mercy. Devo, you have to hold your boosters because you need to be able to cancel this res. Your Doomfist is going to be going back a bit to get heals, is not going to be able to stop this res. So D.Va, stand right here, and it's going to be minimal pressure, but apply your pressure from here, because most of your pressure has to be on denying this res. That's how this has to work. You cannot go like this, because now this Mercy can go, oh, sweet, I can hit this res. Like, it's much better to go, we earned this elimination, and now instead of contributing 100% over here, I'm going to contribute 30% from here, and not let them undo this thing that I got. Like, that's what we want to do for sure.
The payload is approaching its destination.
Огонь по готовности!
Could have been a win. Could have been a win.
30 seconds remaining.
What were we waiting for, Semitic?
Kill the
10
Mahal!
seconds.
Coalescence. Touching shouldn't be hard here. Why is our Reinhardt being so passive with Coalescence up? Maybe.
Ejecting.
No, our Rein's still alive here.
Payload is approaching its destination.
So we need both of them alive. Okay. I doubt it. So here we are. Okay, maybe. Didn't really have enough DM to do that, but okay. Yeah, I still don't like it. I see what you're saying here, but I still don't like it.
The payload is approaching its destination.
Огонь по готовности!
30 seconds remaining.
Time to read my.
Okay. Baby D.Va playing from the angle. Widow, unfortunately, playing from the same angle. Baby D.Va sort of giving away Widow's first peak advantage there is a little unfortunate.
10 seconds remaining.
Guys, there's a third lane over here. Third lane over here. Not sure why Widow, Baby D.Va, and Doomfist are all going this way.
Helden sterben nicht.
Pushing into the Valk. Red's Valk isn't happening.
وريهم قوتكم!
Didn't really push hard enough with the Coalescence before the Valk came out. Okay. Okay. And now for the other direction.
Round
It's
1.
2 points further than you thought it would go. Yeah, no, they pulled some things off. They weren't really handling the Widow, checking the Widow, but the Widow, while better than them, was not a absolute monster. So they were able to do the sort of we force brawls, we force the fights, and we just get enough done. We just get enough done in the main fight without the Widow just dominating. Now,
Attackers incoming.
there's things that we can do about that.
Stop the payload.
And we can check the Widow better to allow that to happen. And we talked about that with actual dive timings when there's both, with making sure that our D.Va, does more to distract the Widow, to be annoying to the Widow as our Widow peaks, with things like invincible peaks, where our Widow peaks when our DM is there. But in terms of a sort of, at a basic level, we fight, and our fighting puts pressure on her to hit shots. That's happening. Red Widow is now a Hanzo. Yeah, I don't think that's going to stay. Wait. We had the option to put Drew here on something that wasn't Reinhardt the whole time. Now I'm just sad because I'd have liked to do that. I also would have liked to not do this. Like, guys, you don't need this. You don't need to run Ana BAP. You just don't. Please don't run this. Please don't. You don't need this much healing. This much healing will not solve one-shots, for example. And if you were going to run this much healing, it's almost certainly because you're running a brawl. And you're sort of like pretending you're running a double bubble thing, and while that's got some brawl elements to it, still no. Still no. I don't like it. What's wrong with Ana BAP? I'm BAP all the time with an Anaco healer. It's not the worst comp in the world, but you run into a little bit of utility problems. I mean, there's reasons that we try to run the comps we do. This is just trying to overload massively on healing. And it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just wanting this to be better. I would much prefer, hey, let's run our Ana with a Brig to actually make this something that's like a double bubble here. Let's run our Ana, or let's run our BAP with a... I wouldn't run BAP Lucio in this. I might run BAP Zen in this. That would be more interesting to me, where we're going to overload them on poke pressure. This is mostly Ana BAP is we're going to overload on healing. And if we're going to overload on healing, I probably want a brawl. I almost certainly want a brawl, not a double bubble sort of pretending it's a brawl. I came here and Temporal starts to roast Ana BAP. You guys know it's not the strongest comp in the world. Like, you guys know what the preferred support pairings are. You know that and this is organized play. They might be in comp queue, but this is organized play. They are queuing as sticks. And you guys know that if we're really getting into it, our preferred support pairings are going to be, hey, we'd like to run Ana Brig. We would like to run Zen Mercy. We would like to run Moira really Lucio, or we would like to run BAP Lucio, are basically how these would like to work out. Now, there's exceptions. Sometimes you'll run, in sort of like a secondary tier, we have things like BAP Zen. This is still pretty solid because you just go, we are playing hard for the poke. This is going to do some good things. We're pretty okay with this. This is, hey, we get stuff done. And there's other things we could run in this second tier too, and this would probably be towards the bottom of the second tier, or we could put this in a third tier, but then in our fourth tier would be things like Lucio Mercy combos. But I would prefer this. Like, I wouldn't put this in the first tier. I'd probably put this in its own half tier, or maybe I'd put a couple other things in this half tier too. But I would put this ahead of BAP Ana. BAP Ana is just overloading on healing, and if you're just overloading on healing, it means your supports aren't helping you with your engagement strategy enough, because healing isn't really a great engagement strategy. Like, we're going to have a ton of healing isn't a great strategy. Having a Discord Orb is pretty good because it's like, oh, that actually gives us a way to win. The Discord Orb helps us win. Lucio's pretty good. Oh, we have speed. That's a way to win. Again, less important in some ways than ladder play, but this is organized play even if they're doing it on the competitive ladder, because our speed, that's a way to actually help us win. Oh, we have Mercy. That's going to give us the blue beam, which isn't as good as Discord, but it's pretty good, and the res. Like, this utility really opens up ways to actually win, and it's a little more how you play the game, sort of like your main tank controls how you play the game. In the situation of Ana BAP, I just assert early on I'm the DPS support and off angles are an Ana thing while BAP does most of the healing. I don't know that BAP does most of the healing in an Ana BAP setup. Like, I would actually object to that. I agree that Ana's going to do more of the off-angling. Ana's going to do more of the off-angling to get her nades, to get her sleeps. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of just how her weapon works, it does more heals per shot. It has a better hitbox per shot for heals than it does for damage. Like, Whereas Bap can weave, and Bap will naturally do some level of weaving, so he's going to get some of the healing in. But I would rather my Bap is constantly doing triple weaves than my Ana is taking a bunch of offensive shots. I'm fine with my Ana taking offensive shots, and my Ana is going to take more offensive shots than she would in other situations because Bap, it's not that Bap can't help it, but Bap is going to do some weaving. Like, Bap is going to do some weaving or he's going to lose too much value. They both play a little more aggressive, but it's probably my Bap that leans harder into playing aggressive. Probably. My Ana still has to get her aggressive ability usage off. But in terms of aggressive shots, my Ana isn't airing that much harder into her aggressive shots than usual, whereas my Bap is going like constant triple weaves. Okay. Maybe there are two flex supports on the team. Yeah, that happens all the time. Like, again, on ladder, this isn't a bad composition. Like, it's not on ladder, you wouldn't even see me blink, but when you see low level organized play teams go for this double flex support, this double high healing thing, it's usually a case of we don't actually understand what Lucio does for us. We don't actually understand what Zen does for us. We're not playing around it well. And we think, well, if we can just heal more, we'll last longer. And we've already established that's not true. The team with the Discord orb on them, even if they have double flex support, even if they have, BAP plus Ana, is going to go down faster. Like, if I'm playing, if it's, okay, here's Zen plus Ana. Come on, mouse. No, you're just not going to work with me. If it's Zen plus Ana versus, just as an example, BAP plus Ana, mouse. BAP plus Ana, this team is going to win every time. Every single time. Because this Discord orb is so much more powerful, even though Zen doesn't do very much healing in his neutral compared to the healing that these teams are throwing at it. But people frequently make this mistake. Or BAP plus Zen, because that's better than Ana plus Zen. Ana plus Zen is actually quite good, but it's only quite good when you can guarantee that the opponents aren't going to run dive at you. Okay. Yeah, my latter answers are a bit different. You might have to unfriend me. Somehow I never like people pick Lucio. I see Lucio, I usually instantly don't trust them. Yeah, you two are good friends. You two are good friends. Solo support Lucio, or solo support because there's Lucio. Yeah, that's why you always are just magnetized to Lucio with your soldier and with your bastion there. First limb target for you, Game Buster. Zen puts a lot of pressure to get a limbs, which is great. I enjoy having Zen on my team since it makes everything easier. Absolutely. Bap has to do weaving. Yep. It's not a good Bap if he's not weaving. No one knows what to do with speed. It's frustrating. I'm like, hey, I'm not getting hit anymore. Switch to heals. Get heals. Yeah, so again, that's totally understandable for solo play, but this is an organized team. These guys are queuing as a 6-stack, so they don't have the excuse of we don't know how to use Lucio. But again, they haven't been doing their comps well in the first place. Again, guys, this is not some terrible comp on ladder. This is not something that, oh no, we have Ana BAP, I'm working on my Ana, or I'm working on my BAP and I have to switch. No, this is not so painful that you have to swap. If you're working on your BAP or your Ana and the other person picks the BAP or Ana, whatever, continue working on your BAP or Ana. This is not going to be some awful thing. But when you're optimizing teams, when you're building team comps, this isn't something that you really ever want to do. Okay. Isn't it also usually a thing to make sure you have an aggressive ult and a defensive ult in the support lineup? Sort of, but not 100%. You had a time when Lucio Zen was meta, and that was double defensive ults, and the defensive ults are mostly just better because you can convert them to aggressive ults. You also, of course, have BAP who breaks that by going, I have a 25-second cooldown that's basically a defensive ult. So we've solved that. So yeah, making sure you have at least one defensive ult can be a thing, but even that's not a hard rule. Like again, Mercy Zen would definitely be, or Mercy Ana would definitely be a second tier, maybe even depends on where we're putting the Bap Zen. Bap Zen is sort of a 1.5 tier, so Mercy Ana would definitely be a second tier support lineup, as opposed to, you know, a garbage support lineup, where, again, this is fine, and you don't really have a defensive ult here. Both of these are aggressive only. You can't really defend. You can't really use either of these to defend effectively the way Transcendence, the way Lamp, the way Beat works. And it's not as good as having one of those, or as good as having two of those, like Lamp plus Transcendence, or Transcendence plus, you know, like you would love to have two defensive ults. That's great. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's do some more of this. You guys are just gonna overrun me because I suggested that playing double flex support, which is a lot of fun, might not always be the best thing. And now my audience hates me. Oh well. Okay. Red's just getting rolled. Red didn't have good opening positioning. Also immediately got widowed. Widowed. Not that he wouldn't have been eliminated by other things. Fortunately, you should have plenty of time to get a second fight, at least as 5. What's the plan here? This is an interesting advance against a team that has Widow. She wasn't here, but this is like a slow advance against a team that has Widow. And Winston, you had to get up here. Like, you had to get up here and then zap down, or go through and zap down. You can't just bubble this. That's not what your bubble is for. Your bubble can't be like, I'm dropping my bubble so my team can advance across bridge. No. You could have maybe done that from up here and still had it do effectively that, still protect their head hitboxes, but this is not great. Okay, this is as good as it's going to get, Winston. Unless you're willing to wait for your next bubble, you basically have to jump the Widow now because you just got naded. That's as much help as you're going to get. No, you're not going to. You're going to play here. That's fine. I don't know why you thought you could stay there. I don't know why. Why are the three of you still on this bridge? Like, we invested so many resources to get across this bridge. We can't be here. We can't. And we have grapple to get up here too. Like, why are we still here? No. No. Speed boost is not for your team. I love it. Okay, okay. We have the army of Reddit Lucios. Okay. It was nice of Doomfist to gift his life.
Meteor strike.
Gift his ult, rather. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That happened. Seems like we probably could have just put pressure on that rather than challenging that directly. You know, we could have our Tracer get up here, and then our Tracer go in, and as our Tracer goes in, our Widow peaks. Or, you know, a situation where, nope, we don't have any other tanks that can do it. It's going to have to be a team effort between our Widow and our Tracer to take down that Widow. That's just what it has to be. Nope. Tracer does not need to challenge the backline alone. Tracer needs to challenge the Widow to push the Widow into the open so that our Widow can take them out. That's what needs to happen.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Okay. Do you guys want to take this fight here? Cool. Cool.
What?
Stabilize. We're gonna nano instead. Fine.
Огонь по готов... وريهم قوتك.
Shield. Shit. Why are you swinging? Why are you alive is the better question. Didn't have sleep. Okay.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Okay. Play for your angles. Play for your angles. Don't push out, Zarya. Don't push out. Zarya, no. Play for your angles. Get your control. You're too low health, and you're not sustained. I know you have your bubble, or you were pushing up because you had your bubble, but you couldn't take this. You guys have to play defensively for your angles until you have your spawns back, which you now do. Okay, are we on our Widow still? We are still on Widow for red. Where is our red Widow? Interesting. Okay. Zarya, why? Why, man? Why are you this aggressive? Like, I don't care that you have your bubble available. You have 61 health, and there's a Widow on the board. She does 300 damage to you. Like, no. Hint, you generally don't want to play Zarya into Widow.
Girl, the Mogul.
Personne.
Good. Perfectly reasonable.
Girl.
Shield. They're up. You're no longer purple. Shield.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Why is Widow on point? Spider-Man? Why do you think you need to be here? Did you just grappled this trick shot to try to challenge the Widow in the opponent's space? And now you have nowhere to go. Like, even if you got this Widow elimination, we don't want you here, even remotely. And the card's still got some distance to give. You don't have to be here. You did get the Widow, which is cool, but now you're stuck on cart with no way out, so you go down. And, you know, a 1-for-1 is okay as a trade for you, but that's not great. That's not how you had to do that. We didn't, like, a 1-for-1, yes, you have spawn advantage, but this isn't really all that amazing. Would have much preferred you to do work from here. Would have much preferred you to work your way out here and take eliminations. To have your grapple to retreat with. Yeah, Moira can hold point if she needs to. Zarya's better for it, but Moira can if she needs to. Good for Red Kree, punish Blue Mercy for being terribly out of position. Yep. Are we going to control lanes? Are we going to control lanes? Or are we just going to pretend that this is the entirety of the match? Because if we're not going to control lanes, we're going to lose. Okay, you guys have High Noon. They don't have sights. If you were really on top of it, you'd have hidden your McCree. You'd have just hidden your McCree, or you'd at least have your McCree controlling this lane, and then he'd walk out for a High Noon. But hey.
It's high noon.
No, no. You can't High Noon down the same lane that your entire team is on. Congrats, you broke a shield. Oh, we're controlling a second lane. We might live to fight another day. Look at that. Controlling a second lane gets us a Widow elimination.
Огонь.
Meteor strike.
Okay. Still good. Unfortunately, they're able to just out-ult down mid. We're winning on this second lane that we're controlling. We might even get the Mercy. But they're able to just out-ult and force it down mid. Okay, so that's clearly the end. Yep, so you guys didn't really adapt your strategies to deal with the superior Widow. At the end, your Widow fought back quite nicely here, but when it comes to dealing with Widow, it's going to be about, it's not just a Widow v Widow. It's how do we use our other pieces to, in a coordinated way, pressure or distract the Widow when our Widow can open an angle to do work. So it's a team game and it's a team effort where you go, hey, my Tracer is going to double blink in to pressure the Widow out of her cover as my Widow opens her angle, knowing where she's going to be pressured out to, and gets the free opportunity for 1 or 2 shots that are probably going to lead to the win. Do I expect my Tracer to solo the Widow? No, not necessarily, because my Tracer is having to double blink to get in, so my Tracer won't have enough sustain to take the Widow. Oh, okay. Well, what if their Widow temporal just goes, hey, I don't like getting 2v1'd like this, so I'm going to play with my team. Great. If their Widow's playing with their team, her angles suck and you'll be fine, because your Widow will get better angles, and then when your team engages like they were, your Widow will win, and your team has things to engage behind. They have cover, like the Rhine Shield, to get in behind. So that's not a big deal for you. So, like, really get synced about, hey, someone's pressuring. And I've used Tracer as the example, but it doesn't have to be Tracer. We also showed times when D.Va could do it. We also talked about at the beginning of the game when you had a Winston and a Genji, they can dive at the same time. Duh. Like, that's an obvious one. So there's a lot more you guys can do in terms of synchronizing the specific pieces to give your Widow a significant advantage in the Widow v Widow. It's not just who's the better Widow, it's about giving yourself a significant advantage by using your synergy, by using your teammates better, or by your teammates, using your Widow better, however you want to think about it, where they go, hey, I'm doing the actual work to get this person into a position where it's easy for my Widow to win, and then she just has to click heads. I don't care how you guys want to think about it. Whichever puffs up your own ego is fine if that's how you want to think about it. But that's going to be your real key to winning this. That said, you guys need to go back to the drawing board a little bit on upgrading your compositions. Totally fine if you say, hey, we can't play the standard meta compositions because our hero pools don't totally fit that. That's not going to bother me at all, but find something that you can play and try to work towards it. Find something that's comfortable for like most of the team's hero pools and work towards it. I don't care if you're playing Brawl when the meta isn't Brawl. I don't care if you're playing Dive when the meta isn't Dive. I don't care if you're playing Widow, if you're playing Widow when you're supposed to be playing Ashe for the comp. I don't care, but try to get a little more synergy in what your comp does. So I would look at this and go, if you guys want to play Dive, that's fine with me. I actually think that's going to work well for you guys. I don't think that's going to work well unless you upgrade your synergy significantly, but it looks like you guys wanted to be playing Dive Heroes, or enough of you did, so that could be fine. Mercy's going to work well enough in the Dive stuff. You guys had someone who wanted to be playing Genji. You had someone who wanted to be playing Soldier or Doomfist. You had someone who wanted to be playing Winston, it looked like. Maybe they didn't want to, but they did. Like, it looks like you're close enough there. Anna's going to be perfectly happy in that, so you can do that. But again, you'd have to work on your timing, because just like handling Widow, it's going to be about working together and getting that synergy burst, if that's what you're going to do. If you want to play Brawl instead, that's totally fine with me, but get off the Mercy. I would much prefer the Ana Bap setup or the Ana Moira setup. I would really prefer the Ana Bap setup to the Ana Moira setup. I would prefer that. If you can get something real, though, with your Brawl that's like, hey, we actually know how to play a Lucio. That could work. That could work. If no one knows how to play Lucio, or you guys don't know how to play Lucio, that's fine. Run your Ana Bap. Okay. So that's what I'm going to cover for you guys in terms of individual stuff. We obviously talked about, hey, use your team as a distraction. Hey, please get off Mercy when your team's on Brawl. Use the Valk as quick as possible. Just don't be on Zarya when there's a Widow on the other team. If she's doing work, you're not going to have a fun time. You have some Doom engagement stuff where it's like, hey, you're engaging when your team isn't ready. You're also not taking obvious and free high grounds when you do go in. You're going all the way out instead of finishing on the high grounds. Please stop just giving away shield. Please stop just giving away shield for free. Wait behind cover until your team is actually ready to push. Your resource is something that your shield is a resource that you need to close in and engage on the enemy team. That's a thing that you have to do. And I didn't really watch your BAP. I don't remember any critical lamps. I don't remember any critical lamps, and that's a little concerning. How fast did you swap to Moira? Yeah, I don't remember. That's going to have to do it. Sorry, Rose. Okay. If you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now, as that's going to help out. Excuse me, throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on. The Discord is also the place you can go into the Get Notifications channel, and in there you can choose to become a watcher by reacting, and then you'll get pings whenever I go live. So if you are watching this as a VOD and in the future like, hey, I want to be able to ask temporal questions, I want to be able to hop into the video like our Mercy player did, like Steffi did here and ask questions like that. Usually I answer more of them at the end, but if you want to ask questions like that, the best way to do that is to, in the video, as I'm open to questions here, ask those. And the best way to consistently be able to get here to do that is to get that watcher role. Okay, so taking a quick look here. Game Buster is thinking that I'm going to go take lunch. I might. I tend to do lunches a little bit later, but I might do lunch now. Isn't it dinner time there? Yeah, Game Buster, you're much later over there. Wait, you set up a trampoline? I'm jelly. Trampolines are a blast. It's very jumpy. Yes, yes. What will I get for lunch? I might do Chinese food, or I might do Mexican. Probably Chinese or Mexican. In solo queue, how do you handle Widow as a support player? Do you just avoid her forever and hope she doesn't look in your general direction? Yes, Game Buster. Chinese for lunch is an option. I mean, it'll probably be lunch and dinner. Like if I actually go pick up food, it'll probably be I'm going to have like part of it for lunch, then part of it for dinner type thing. Because I just don't need that much food. Okay, so in solo queue, how do you handle Widow as a support player? Do you adjust to avoid her forever and hope she doesn't look in your general direction? No, you swap to Lucio and you dive her and you tilt her. Duh. No. Okay, more serious answer. No, there's times that you can peek her. Like I am a little serious about Lucio can dive her. That's a thing that can happen. Zen can absolutely take peek battles with Widow. He's not going to take straight peek battles with Widow, but you can hit situation. Come on, mouse. Zen isn't going to take direct battles with Widow, but Zen knows when Widow is distracted by other things. Zen can get a Discord, which is wall hacks on the Widow. Like, Zen can fight Widows as long as Zen is understanding the matchup, is understanding that, hey, I'm going to go when my diva is making a distraction. I want to peek from a different angle than my Ashe after my Ashe is peaked, because my Widow is going to try to react to my Ashe peeking, and that's when I can peek from a different angle to go challenge them. If I'm a Mercy, okay, it's going to be about damage boosting someone who can fight them. It's going to be about getting the reses off to undo their eliminations afterwards. If it's Ana, Sleep Dart is your friend, and you can peek much the same way as Zen would when she's looking at someone else. When you know you late peek off of someone else's peek effectively from a different angle than that's someone else. Support wise, who else do I have? BAP. You're not going to seriously take Widow duels with BAP unless you have your window, but you can pressure her. You can put some pressure on her. Most of the time as BAP, you're going to end up in situations, though, where you just go, I'm going to have to do a little bit more side healing. If there's like a Widow down... If I wasn't like a minute from being done with this VOD, I'd swap mice, where you're going to go, hey, there's this down here, but our BAP is over here, and our BAP is just out of the line of sight and healing whoever's here. And then if the Widow's really pressured, maybe our BAP will peek and take a shot or two, a burst shot or two at the Widow. I can keep going through the heroes, but that's sort of how it works. They all have their ways, but they're not generally the hard Widow solution by themselves. Lucio would actually be the closest to that. Okay, what was I saying? Must be a culture thing. Nobody here eats hot food for lunch. Oh, we definitely eat hot food for lunch here. So not sushi because you'll be hungry 20 minutes after you finish eating. Yeah, yeah, that probably not sushi. Permission for Reddit Lucius from Temporal. Say no more. I don't have a serious issue with Reddit Lucius. Yeah, I don't have an issue with Reddit Lucius. I find Xana though Sleep Dart is not fast enough to hit a Widow without Widow eliminating you, then you're not peeking at the right time. You don't want to challenge the Widow directly. You want to challenge the Widow when she's distracted by something else. It may suck, but she is the queen piece on the board. She is the piece that will win the game. But pawns can take down queens. Bishops can take down queens when the queen is tied up with something else. And that's not you saying, oh, I just sack my Widow to fight their Widow or something like that. That is a, hey, this game has things like tanks, where my Winston can jump a Widow and the Widow's distracted, or my Tracer can be blinking across and the Widow tries to take a shot, or, the Widow is having to hold a different place where my team is advancing. My Reinhardt is pushing and my Widow is looking to try to find a shot past the Reinhardt. You use your team as distractions and you open from angles that you haven't previously shot 6 bajillion times from. Temporal mouse reviews. Oh, well, this is because I have my Naga plugged in. And the Naga's laser is bad. And Naga lasers have been going bad for ages for me. I've replaced this a couple times and I just refuse to do it anymore. I just only use it when I'm playing games I'll probably do it again at some point, but I mostly use my G502, which has no such issue. This one sucks. End of video. Right. I had a G900 for a while, Wireless Pro. What's wrong with the G900? Yeah, it seems fine. You broke it. Okay. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I'm not seeing any more questions here. So if you guys have anything else, throw them up here. But I think we are probably good to go. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.